On this week's episode of Embodied Divinity, I'm so excited for you to meet my dear friend and an amazing heart-centered business mentor, Christina Kim. In this week's episode, she's going to be talking to us about how leading a heart-centered business changed her life, and how as we walk into this new paradigm, leading from a place of heart-centered service and standing in your truth and authenticity will allow you to reap rewards beyond your wildest imagination. I hope you enjoy. Hey, Divine One, Nikyla Maria here, inner child and self-mastery expert and divine channel at your service. And this is my podcast. It is my mission to guide you back into remembering of all that you are as you stand in your highest self and live this life on earth to your fullest and most joy-filled ability. It's time to stand fully in your power, optimize your energy, and let wealth rain down on you as you get clear on your energy, mind, body, and spirit. This is for the divine ones, the cosmic beings, the creatives, industry leaders, and stars who are ready to activate their fullest potential and live a life of purpose, peace, and pleasure as we create a new world. It's time to remember the divine being you are and act accordingly. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Embodied Divinity. I just introduced you to my good friend Christina here, and I'm so excited to interview her for today's episode. Thanks so much for coming, Christina.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually very excited and honored to be here.
Yay, me too. I'm so glad that you're here. It's so fun to have you in this setting. So I'd love for you to start off by telling everyone the answer to my signature question. How did you become the woman sitting in front of us today?
Oh, how long do you have? That's a very good question. I became the woman that I am by just completely breaking down and opening up all facets of myself and not hiding from myself anymore and just really truly digging down deep and realizing who I am. It's not been a very pretty journey, but it's been a journey. And I'm so sorry. My computer's having technology problems. But I went through it, and I went through it first with you. I had the honor of having you as the first healer I was able to work with, and I honestly had no idea what kind of healing journey it was in store for me. So that's what I've been focusing on for the last 4 years, was to really come back and remember who I am.
Mm. I love that. And I love that you have really stepped into like the fullness of your being and moved through a transformation where everything that you do and all of your work is all about this heart-centered service. And I think it's really cool that as we stand in the new year, 2024 is all about this new paradigm, this new earth that we're creating here. And I think what you do is so important to shaping that, because we're no longer based in this hustle, competition, lack, survivor mindset. It's really about this heart-centered expansion, leading your business, your life, your relationships from the heart. And that's everything that you do. So I'd love to know why being a heart-centered entrepreneur or healer is so important to you.
Well, it's very important to me because I've been in the corporate world for so long, for over 20 years, since before I even graduated from college, and even in my jobs from when I was 15, honestly. And I saw that the grind that society tells you have to go through, and it's always about the bottom line, seeing the results, and then just making everyone rich. It's all about the money, and they never put in the heart around understanding people and putting investment into people, playing on people's strengths, and knowing that when you lead from the heart, it you don't have to work that hard. Things just unfold for you. When you lead with heart, um, everything just feels right, and you can lead from a place of such authenticity that it shakes and completely disrupts the entire paradigm that we've been in. So that was really important to me because I had been in that industry for so long and forced to work in such a way that was against my soul, that I want everyone to know that there is another way to do all of this.
So when you say leading from the heart, when we talk about like the heart centered, all of these things, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Leading from the heart is not an emotion. I used to think it was an emotion. Like if I lead from the heart, like, oh, I love you, so I'm gonna, give everything to you. Leading from the heart is standing in your own truth. It is standing with clarity and conviction and knowing what you have to offer is valid, and that the way that you have to offer it is very valid, whether or not it marches to the same beat of the drum with society or not. It took me a very long time to realize this. I fought this with every fiber of my being, and it showed. I became so frustrated because I realized now that I was trying to lead with heart, and every time I did, I got so shut down and scolded and, gaslit everything. But now I realize that leading with the heart from the truth, from the core of your being, that is absolutely the way to go. And for everyone, it's slightly different. So I decided to start this business because I want to help entrepreneurs, heart-led entrepreneurs, to lead their business from their truth, their heart, and what's in alignment with them. And that you can still be successful in this world by doing so.
I love that. And I also think, I mean, it's kind of scary and hard because when you're leading from like the old paradigm business model, it's very logical. There are answers. There is a roadmap right in front of you and there's a sense of control, right? But when you lead your business from heart-centered service, from compassion, from this truth, knowing, authenticity, there are no guarantees. And I think that can be really scary because number one, it involves trusting your intuition. Number two, it involves letting go of wealth, knowing that it will come, but also letting go of that as the end result. And number three, just really, it's like a trust fall into the universe of saying, I'm going to show up in my purpose, in my passion, and trust that it's all going to work out. What would you say would be the first step to start walking towards this new way of being?
Oh my goodness. Just trusting, or even just knowing that there's another way. I For me, I spent the last 6 months just delaying my website because I was scared. I was like, oh my God, what if people don't understand this, And what if they're like, this is just all BS, and there's no logic to it. But one of the biggest things that I realized in all of this is that the heart, being in your heart and standing in your own truth, it completely defies the logic. So the first step that I took myself was just knowing and trusting that there's another way to do this. And I had to let go of the control. I absolutely had to let go of the finances. And there's been some scary moments for me too, where I thought, oh my God, is my bank account going to go negative? And every time it was about to hit zero or get negative, somehow some kind of finances came into my account, and I was always able to pay my bills. I was always able to live, survive, have shelter, food. Now, I may not have been able to go and take amazing trips somewhere, but I got everything that I needed along the way. And it's still showing up that way for me right now.
So you saying that, I'm sure you're not just sitting there like wishing and having your heart open, like you know that it's there, right? You have this trust and you're taking some sort of aligned action with that. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Every day I take a step, no matter how small it is or how big it is. So every day is really wildly different for me. I can go in with the plan for the day and say, I'm going to do all these 20 things, but sometimes I barely get half of one done. But what I relish in the fact is knowing that I did something and taking those small steps through all the doubts and the fears and the misconceptions that I may even have. That has truly proven to have been amazing for me, because that's what keeps me going. And that by just simply showing up, the universe responds.
So just knowing more about your personal journey and watching some of the shifts that you have made. What was it like going through kind of being like that corporate hustler, working all day, every day? And it wasn't, I never saw you as like obsessed with money, but it was just something that was there. But you were maybe a little bit obsessed with working and achieving and doing. And so to be able to drop that, I know from my own experience, when I dropped my achiever, like go, 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 and stepped into this heart center place, I almost went through like a panicky withdrawal, like void transition of like, who the fuck am I? What is happening here? Like, and it was almost paralyzing. Did you experience anything like that? Like, what was it like for you? Because a lot of these people listening too have probably just really stepped into this new place of heart-centered being.
Yeah, I grew up my whole life with perfection values and control and a never-ending goalpost of achievements. That came through from my family and my culture. So when I decided to change my life, I went cold turkey. I just quit my job. I didn't tell anyone for a while. And I'd been working anywhere from like 16 to 20 hours a day. That's how much I worked because I just threw myself into my job because I didn't want to face anything else. So it was really hard for me. Before I even came to see you, I think there was a period of time where I had like 6 months when I just quit my job. I fell into a huge depression because I was so used to filling up my time doing something, feeling that that was what made me worthy, that just sitting there in silence, I felt so ashamed. Um, I felt so much guilt. And I actually ate McDonald's like every day for a week and gained like 20 pounds. I just fell into this rabbit hole. And through working with you is where I finally realized, just how far that achievement status and that quest for perfection was going, and that I didn't have to live my life that way anymore. Now, you helped break open the surface. And I have been working very actively on that for the last year because it's still there in me. It just because sometimes you know that it's there, it takes some time to deprogram it because I had been running on it for so long. But I just take it day by day right now. I no longer allow myself to work more than 8 hours a day, barely that even at all. The moment that I get any kind of frustration or any emotions or like, am I doing enough? I take a step back and I will walk away from what I'm doing until I can see what's going on inside myself and then just come back to center. So it's not completely gone right now, but it does come up less and less. And the only thing I can do, the only thing I want to do about it is just to be aware of it and, give myself the compassion and empathy and kindness that I deserve, knowing that it is a pattern that I'm working on breaking and that I'm choosing different for myself.
Mm. So much compassion and grace. And I love the baby steps. I love just how gentle and easy you are on yourself. I find it so interesting too when we break out of like the whole matrix or 3D paradigm of like thinking what life is about, like a success, achievement, wealth, and we step into this new way of being. It really is about, purpose and passion and how can I contribute to making the world a better place. And it's the cool thing that I love about it is there's not one right way, right? There's all of these different ways that we can be of service and that we can create things that will impact the world in a positive way. And how do you kind of trust and fine tune that you're walking and living in your purpose as you leave a more heart-centered life?
Oh, that took a while. I actually was running from it up until about 3 to 4 months ago. I had an inkling of what the things that I was meant to be doing, but I didn't want to do it I have no idea why, honestly, still to this day. But I just wasn't ready to accept it because I didn't want it to be planned and unfolded for me. Because I had the old beliefs of how I used to work. So I used to be in consulting and, I used to help a lot of clients out, build their business, market to more people. And I remembered that grind and I did not want it to be like that. So it took me a very long time to remove that kind of programming from myself. I actually worked with several different healers to help me become aware. And finally, when it really sunk into me just how hard I had been on myself, just everything that I had been doing, I just took some time. And that's what it took for me, was just time and sitting with myself and just really understanding why things were happening for me the way that they were happening and what I did to create my reality, and respecting that and just giving it the due time that it took to realize exactly what I had done to myself, and then just acknowledging it, accepting it, and then slowly just removing it from my life. It's not always pretty, because I can talk right now and I'm like, oh yeah, it's all roses, and this is exactly what I did. But you're right. There's no one way to do it. Every day something will come up, and there's no one way for me to handle it either. Some days I do go for most of the day with the doubt and it comes in, but I no longer try to fight it anymore. If the doubt does come in, I just do let it come in. I don't like it, but I do respect it. And then I just let it settle until it fizzles away.
This, just based on some of your answers and responses, and also just reflecting on my journey and so many of the people I've talked to here, a lot of this transformation from the old way of being to this new heart-centered way of being comes with a lot of healing, a lot of hard times, a lot of fear, a lot of doubt. So what would you say the benefits are? Like, what was your life like before, as far as energy levels, relationships, joy, pleasure, versus now?
Oh yeah. So I've always had a lot of energy. So the energy levels are still off the charts, but I don't have to force that energy anymore, if that makes sense. Like, I have energy for the things I really truly enjoy. I actually look forward to waking up in the morning and starting a new day. And I did not before. I used to actually fight sleep. So I had a like crazy insomnia. I could not sleep until like 3 in the morning, and I'd have to wake up at 5. And I don't know how I ran on that kind of fumes. But now I'm like, no, we're going to go to bed, give myself the due rest that I deserve, because I want to be full and fresh of energy in the next day. I've let go of the relationships that, quite frankly, no longer serve me. I was in a lot of friendships and with, my family and just regular people that I realized I allowed myself to be kept small, just so that they can feel big. And I I put myself through a lot of abuse through that. So I realized that those aren't the relationships that I want with people anymore. I want to meet people like you that help support and that love me and accept me unconditionally. And most importantly, that I accept myself unconditionally and fully. And I allow myself to be me. I never felt like I could be me before. So now I feel like I'm finding who I truly am. And it's really exciting because I've never had less money in my bank account. I've never felt more scared and excited at the same time. And I've never had a smaller circle of friends and people that I call family. And yet at the same time, I feel the most secure. And quite frankly, I feel the most happy I've ever been. And that to me is way more important than having like a few 100,000 in the bank account and no one that I ever felt like I could share that with.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the way this year, 2024 and beyond, is unfolding too, because currency is going to change, wealth is going to change, and the way that we view life is going to be more based on community and levels of happiness and excitement. And to be able to lead your business like through that purpose, through that authenticity, creates a ripple of energy all around you. It attracts new experiences to you. It's such a powerful way of being. So in your experience, what would you say the biggest outcome of doing this work with you is?
Is that you get to show the world um, how they can do things when they lead from the heart. And you can do it from a heart-centric point of view. You don't have to chase, you don't have to force, and you don't have to grind as hard. You could get your life back by just being authentic to yourself. That's what I want to show people. And that leading with your heart doesn't mean that you're going to fail, it may not turn out exactly the way you envision it, but that's life in general, how the universe works, but you can still do it. It's the way that I'm leading now, and I have never felt more sure of myself.
I love that. Before we share with everybody how you can serve them and the offerings that you have, is there a message that you want to give to anyone who might be listening here today?
Yeah, if you even have an inkling that things can be done a different way, that you feel like you're forcing or you're fighting, or even just curious on what it's like to lead heart-centered, then I suggest that you definitely reach out. I mean, a quick conversation never hurts. And sometimes all you need is that 15-minute conversation too. So if you're even just curious at all, definitely look into this, because I feel that that is your soul and your heart telling you, hey, you don't have to live this way anymore.
Yes. So what does it look like? How can people work with you? What do you offer? What are your contributions to this new heart-centered world?
Yeah, so I work in a few different ways. So you can work with me in a 1 hour session. Sometimes I realize some of my clients, that's all they need is just a little confidence boost and a little clarity and validation. So I give you a heart reading. I can actually connect to your heart and give you the messages your heart has been trying to tell you for so long, that we get so stuck in our heads that we can't tell where the message is coming from. Another way that we can work together is I also help advise a lot of heart-led entrepreneurs and how to expand their offerings, how to up-level their business. And that can mean anything. It could mean you want to take your business from one-on-one to the massive scale and you just don't know how. Or maybe you even just want more time back with your family, but you're so lost in the grind, you don't know how to do that. And for those who are ready to be seen by the masses, I also help produce immersive experiences where I know we're working together on something similar like this, where just by being in the frequency and being in the teachings that the entrepreneur has to offer, the attendees' frequencies and vibrations just increase, and they're just amazing, amazing experiences to be part of.
Oh my gosh, so many good offerings. If you feel called to work with Christina, you can check out all the links below. I shared them with you in the introduction as well. But if, like she said, if your heart is calling you towards this work, what do you have to lose by checking it out and following the call? I'm so happy that you guys all got to meet this beautiful being in front of me today. And thank you so much, Christina, for being here.
Thank you. I just have one thing I do want to offer your listeners, just for, if they're even curious at all. I would like to offer your listeners a 30% off for the first session with me.
Yes.
So all they have to do is mention that they found me through your podcast, and I will give them 30% off of a 1 hour session
Oh
for
my
their first time.
gosh. That's so amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I hope that my community takes you up on that, because that is an incredible offer. If you guys missed it, she said 30% off for her one-on-one session. All you have to do is mention the Embodied Divinity podcast episode. That is so amazing. Thank you so much, Christina.
Of course. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Thank you so much. And as always, breathe deep and plan on miracles.
Thanks for listening, Divine One. It truly has been an honor to guide you deeper into yourself today. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to create a ripple of support for my podcast, please share it with your friends, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. You can find me on all the socials by searching Nikyla Maria or checking the link in my bio. As always, breathe deep, plan on miracles, and know life's about to get a whole lot more magical.